Now we're going to talk about interval inversions. So inversions of interval basically means that we can take the interval and we could flip it or turn it upside down. So let's talk about some rules of how this works. So in interval inversions, if we have a major interval, when it's inverted, then the quality becomes a minor. And if the quality is a minor interval, it becomes major. Then a perfect interval stays perfect, a augmented becomes a diminished, and a diminished becomes augmented. So it's the opposite if you think about it. And also the numbers will switch too. If you think about the numbers, they will both add up to being 9. And I'll talk more about this in this following example. So let's say I have an interval of a minor third. Well, as you can see that my quality is minor, so I know that my inversion is going to be a major quality, right? Because when we talked about inverting intervals, a minor becomes a major. And then there's two ways to do this. You can either take the bottom note and move it up an octave, or you could take the top note and move it down an octave, which will give you the inversion. So there's two ways. So one way is this. I took my bottom note and moved it up an octave. So my minor third now becomes a major sixth. Minor becomes a major, and a third becomes a sixth now. And these two numbers here add up 9. So it's always going to happen when you invert an interval. The quality is going to become the opposite, as we mentioned before. Minor becomes a major, major becomes a minor. The perfect stays the same, diminished becomes augmented, and augmented becomes diminished. And then the numbers will add up to 9. So if it's a third, it's going to be a sixth. If it's a minor second, then I'm going to have a major seventh. So this is one way, is taking the bottom note and moving up an octave. And the other way is taking the top note and dropping it down an octave. So either one is fine, and this is how I get an inverted interval of a minor third. Let's look at another example of interval inversions. Let's say I have these two notes, A and F sharp. Well, that's going to give me a major sixth interval. Well, then I know that even without looking at the notes, I know that with just the interval name, my major is going to become a minor, and then my sixth is going to be a third, because the two numbers have to add up to 9. So unisons and eighths, seconds and sevenths, thirds and sixths, fourths and fifths. So I know I'm going to have a minor third. So here is an example where I kept A at the same place, and I took the top note, which is F sharp, and I dropped it down an octave. So now I have F sharp to A, which gives me a minor third. Or the other way is if I wanted to keep the top note and then move my bottom note up an octave, I'm also going to get a minor third, and this is how I notate this. So either way is fine. So once again, for inverting intervals and notating them, is that I could keep the bottom note and drop the top note down an octave, or I could keep the top note and move the bottom note up an octave. Either way is going to give me the same interval distance. I still have a minor third, but one is just an octave higher. And that is interval inversions.